Welcome to part one of this overview of the COE Fidelity Guidelines. In this video, we will cover an overview of the guidelines themselves. There are 6 companion videos that follow this one for each section of the Fidelity Guidelines. I encourage you to review each section-specific tutorial. In 2016, Governor Tom Wolf introduced the Centers of Excellence for Opioid Use Disorder, or COEs, as one solution to the growing overdose crisis within Pennsylvania, as well as a solution to the barrier of engaging and retaining clients with opioid use disorder in treatment. The COEs were designed to engage the community to identify all persons with OUD and make sure that every person with OUD achieves optimal health. Over time, the COE Learning Network has grown to include over 200 OUD treatment locations across Pennsylvania. The original COE requirements were specified in the addition of Opioid Use Disorder Centers of Excellence Provider Specialty Medical Assistance Bulletin and remain the requirements for COEs today. However, with the program growth, there is need for further clarification of the activities that define the COE to ensure consistency and shared understanding across COE sites and throughout the managed care organizations who pay for the enhanced care management services that COEs offer. The Fidelity Guidelines rolled out on August 1st, 2024, apply to all existing and future COE sites in Pennsylvania and serve as an enhancement, not a replacement, to the requirements in the original MA Bulletin. This is the first in a series of tutorials about the Fidelity Guidelines. This tutorial will provide an overview of the guiding principles of COE that provide the vision for the Fidelity Guidelines. We encourage you to watch each section-specific tutorial to fully understand the guidelines. We want to begin by contextualizing the Fidelity Guidelines to ensure a shared understanding of the purpose of the COE Fidelity Guidelines and how COEs and MCOs can move forward with consistent implementation. Standard guidelines ensure that all Pennsylvania Centers of Excellence provide consistent, evidence-based care to individuals seeking treatment for opioid use disorder. Following established guidelines helps ensure that individuals receive the most effective and up-to-date treatments, increasing the likelihood of successful recovery. Standard guidelines facilitate better coordination among healthcare providers within the Center of Excellence. And this coordinated approach ensures that individuals receive comprehensive and integrated care, addressing both their medical and psychosocial needs. Guidelines help streamline workflows and procedures within the Center of Excellence, leading to more efficient and effective care delivery. Consistent procedures promote staff efficiency and reduce variability in care. Establishing standard guidelines promotes client safety, care coordination, regulatory compliance, and data-driven improvement efforts, ultimately leading to better outcomes for individuals and strengthening the overall response to the opioid crisis. The Fidelity Guidelines are based on the core guiding principles of COE. These principles are, number 1, the COE will assertively engage individuals with a history of emergency department treatment episodes for opioid use, individuals with a history of inpatient or residential substance use treatment, individuals with a high risk for overdose, individuals with opioid use in addition to polysubstance use, and individuals with current intravenous drug use. Number 2, the COE will place primary focus on high-risk priority populations, such as pregnant women, individuals recently released from incarceration, individuals with intravenous substance use, individuals with acute or chronic homelessness or housing instability, individuals with a history of opioid overdose, and veterans. Number 3, The COE will induct individuals on medication for opioid use disorder expeditiously. Number 4, the COE will function as a hub and spoke program for diverse community resources and treatment options. Number 5, the COE will consist of care coordination that is assertive and community-based to eliminate gaps in care. Number 6, the COE will integrate interventions for mental health and substance use and behavioral and physical health. For a list of these guiding principles, along with the core principle and rationale for the guiding principle, refer to Appendix 2 of the Fidelity Guidelines. Peru also previously held a learning network focused on the evidence base behind the guiding principles. This training recording is a resource to which you have access if you'd like to better understand the guiding principles and how COEs can carry these principles out in daily practice. If you want to watch this recording, you may do so in Tomorrow's Healthcare. If you need an account for Tomorrow's Healthcare, reach out to your Peru point of contact. Moving on to the scope of the Fidelity Guidelines. The Fidelity Guidelines outline enhanced care management services offered by COEs under the state plan, and therefore the scope of this document is only care management. It does not apply to other services that an organization that houses a COE may offer alongside enhanced care management, such as MOUD prescribing, substance use counseling, or mental health treatment. The implementation of the Fidelity Guidelines does not override the current Centers of Excellence MA Bulletin or pages 6I and 6J of Attachment 3.1A, 3.1B to the Pennsylvania Medicaid State Plan, which continue to serve as guidance documents for COEs alongside the Fidelity Guidelines. Providers should consider an approach to the implementation of the Fidelity Guidelines that shows commitment to high-quality enhanced care management and supports the delivery of evidence-based practices that facilitate each community member's ability to achieve optimal health, well-being, recovery, and choice. In addition to reviewing the section-specific tutorials I mentioned earlier, we suggest you prepare to implement the Fidelity Guidelines by thoroughly reviewing and understanding the standard guidelines applicable to your COE. Peru can assist in the provision of comprehensive training to all staff members on the standard guidelines and how they should be implemented in daily practice. It is best to ensure that everyone understands their roles and responsibilities in adhering to the guidelines. Compare your COE's current policies and procedures with the standard guidelines and identify areas where adjustments or improvements are needed to align with the guidelines. Please reach out to the managed care organizations your COE contracts with and your Peru point of contact for guidance and training. To get an understanding of the way that COEs can take a systematic approach to meet the needs of their clients, refer to Appendix 1 within the Fidelity Guidelines for a COE visual depiction. Each section of the Fidelity Guidelines has 3 components that will be covered in these tutorials: COE expectations, MCO expectations, and documentation guidelines. The COE expectations are guidelines for all COEs to ensure fidelity to the COE model. Many of these expectations are based on the original MA Bulletin to which you applied to be approved as a COE. As previously mentioned, it is important to understand that the Fidelity Guidelines do not replace the requirements listed in the MA Bulletin, but aim to expand on and operationalize these original requirements. The MCO expectations lay out the ways that MCOs can monitor the COE program through chart reviews and billing data, as well as ways that MCOs can support COEs with which they contract. The aim is to ensure that COEs statewide have consistent expectations across MCOs and are not burdened by varying requirements. To ensure streamlined documentation of each guideline, there is also a documentation guide that lays out best practices for COEs to document guideline adherence in client charts and in their organizational policies and procedures. This tool is also suggested for MCOs to use as a guide to monitor each COE's fidelity to the guidelines during chart reviews. Peru has also offered many trainings that align with the recommendations in the COE Fidelity Guidelines. Where applicable, we will reference relevant trainings during this tutorial, but this should not be considered as a comprehensive list of available resources for Fidelity implementation. If you have questions about other trainings or resources, reach out to your Peru point of contact. All training materials referenced in this tutorial are available on Tomorrow's Healthcare. Your Peru point of contact would be happy to set up an account for you on this website to view any recorded trainings or access associated training materials. If you're unsure of who your Peru point of contact is, reach out to Peru's COE Program Manager, Aaron Seeger, at ers166@pitt.edu. After you review each section-specific tutorial, we encourage you to consider your current processes and their current alignment with the Fidelity Guidelines. It's understandable that some processes may need to be adjusted to ensure fidelity to the COE model. Peru and MCOs are here to support COEs with process changes related to the Fidelity Guidelines. Peru's technical assistance team will be reviewing section-specific checklists with each COE over the next year to identify areas for individualized support. You're also welcome to speak with your TA provider at Peru about available resources and trainings to support guideline implementation. Thank you for joining me for this tutorial about this introductory information on the Fidelity Guidelines. Please contact your Peru TA provider with additional questions or requests for support.